Will the Euro USD daily uptrend continue this week? Let's talk about it in this week's Forex Forecast. All right, starting things off with the US dollar index. First of all, looking at the weekly chart here, remember we are inside of weekly demand at 101.118 right now. We have reacted not only once, but twice off of this demand now. So to me, it looks like we are forming some sort of double bottom here. I am expecting this demand to actually break in the long term. It doesn't mean that the dollar won't go up a little bit further and then eventually break, but I am expecting this zone to be taken out on the weekly chart. Let's go down to the lower time frames and see what's going on. I know the daily chart isn't a lower time frame, but let's look at the daily chart here. So a very significant thing happened on the daily chart. We had daily supply at 102.201 and price broke demand, pushed down, created daily supply, pushed back up, and now we are reacting off of supply. You can see the past week we've just been going sideways on the US dollar, basing up. Now this is either basing to push for a drive back down, or it's basing for a move up. Now it's definitely difficult to tell what's going to take place. My hint is that my theory is that we're going to go lower. So that's what I'd be watching. I'd be watching out what takes place around this daily supply. If we break it, we're probably going higher. If we continue to roll over, then obviously we're going to continue to go down. So I would definitely be monitoring that daily chart in the dollar, and also on the 4-hour chart. We have a 4-hour demand zone that's being held as well right now. We have 4-hour demand at 101.84. And it's held pretty decently so far. We've tested it very deeply. So if this demand gets broken, it's most likely we're probably headed back lower. But let's say we push out of it, break this high. At that point, we'll pretty much have a 4-hour uptrend. And it's probably safe to say, hey, we're probably headed to at least 102.76 on the DXY. So as far as the DXY goes, we're going to have to monitor the 4-hour demand and the daily supply to see what takes place, all as we are located right at weekly demand. On to the forecast for the Euro US dollar. Looking at the weekly chart here, we're going to do a top-down analysis of every pair this week. So we have weekly demand in control right now. So just looking at a weekly chart, I'm seeing a lot of profit margin, at least all the way up to that weekly supply. And that weekly supply is located at 1.15. So in the long term, I think, it's not going to go straight up, but I do think we could easily get to that supply, like I said, at 1.15. So with that being said, let's go down to lower time frames, but also it is definitely possible that we do something like this first and then something like that. Obviously this is a weekly chart, so this could take a year or two to play out, but I just wanted to show you guys possible long-term profits here on the euro. Now on the daily chart, as I spoke about in the intro, we have a very consistent daily uptrend. We recently broke this high, and we are reacting off of daily supply at 1.10 right now. And what we are looking for to see strength in the euro is for this daily supply to be taken out. And if that daily supply gets taken out and if we're left with new daily demand here, it would be an interesting daily area of demand right there. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that daily chart as well. So for trading the euro right now, the problem is if you look at a 4-hour chart, we currently lost momentum here on the 4-hour chart. This would have been a great time to be buying the euro as price was trending up. But now we are going sideways. We removed demand, we are left with supply, and we're just going sideways. So right now we are completely in the middle between supply and demand here on the 4-hour chart. So what I would be looking for strength in the euro to look for longs would be the removal of this 4-hour supply. Or if we do push down to this 4-hour demand at 1.08, you could be looking for potential longs coming off of that 4-hour area of demand. Or like I said, if we remove this supply and if we're left with 4-hour demand or daily demand like I talked about, that's where we could be looking for longs as well. So as far as the euro goes, we just need to continue to see strength by removing 4-hour supply and continuing the uptrend, or we need to pull back to quality demand on the 4-hour chart before we continue to trade the euro US dollar. All right, on to the forecast for gold. Looking at the weekly chart here, top-down approach first. Definitely a red candle coming off the last week here on gold. I am still expecting gold to actually push down to 1870. We have seen some evidence on the lower time frames that could be taking place. Stay tuned for that. So just wanted to show you guys this long-term perspective. Yes, it's possible gold does just rally from here to all-time highs, but who knows? We could actually see the banks push price lower to weekly demand at 1870 and then push price up. So let's go down to some of the lower time frames and check things out. Going down to a daily chart here, you can clearly see this daily demand is in control. We also have some daily demand that's located below at about 1930, but for now, we have this daily demand that is currently in control at 1984. So we definitely could see price rally out of this demand like we already have once back here, but this is a sign. The fact that price couldn't break this supply and we're pushing back into this daily demand for a second test makes me think we could actually break down low to like 1930 and then ultimately down to like 1870, like I said. So we're gonna have to monitor this daily chart on gold to see what ends up taking place. Now, if we go to a 4-hour chart here, let's take a look at what we've recently seen for price action. Well, back here in this box, price was just going sideways. We were ranging and we actually broke the range to the upside with this demand. And I pointed out this demand to the Diamond members in my group, and some of them took trades off of that demand zone. So congratulations to you guys. And now we reacted off the demand twice, which left us with this 4-hour supply. And as you can see, we reacted beautifully off of that 4-hour supply. And this is a supply zone that I pointed out to members in my daily market breakdown video. And if you don't know what that is, it is part of the Diamond membership program that I have for my Patreon YouTube membership. And this is all of the memberships options that I have, but what I am looking for is for serious traders who are looking to learn, be part of a community, and level up their trading by using supply and demand and learning more about supply and demand. So if you are a serious trader willing to learn, definitely check out the YouTube Patreon membership, especially the Diamond membership. I'd be happy to see you guys join the team, and lifetime access is available. So as far as gold goes now, we have seen this supply hold once and twice. So it is looking weak. We are starting to see evidence that, hey, you know what? Price might actually be starting to break lower and break lower down to like 1930, possibly down to 1870 to the weekly demand. So as far as gold goes now, I would not be just like I told the members in the screenshot I just said, I wouldn't be going long until we can remove that 4-hour supply. So that's what I told the members, and that's what I'm telling you guys now, because we are still holding the supply. So as far as trading gold goes now, we're either going to have to wait for that supply in the 4-hour chart to be removed, or for shorts, I'm really not loving it, but we could trade shorts if we get new quality 4-hour supply zones. All right, on to the USDJPY, and first we're going to start the weekly chart here. This was looking like the DXY, where we pushed down on the DXY, we had weekly demand, we reacted off the weekly demand and pushed up, but the USDJPY has been a little bit stronger where we didn't push back down to the weekly demand. So we have seen the USDJPY just be a little bit stronger than the DXY. If you look at the daily chart here, really not a lot to go off of. We are just in between supply and demand, so it's really not the best time to be trading the USD at Japanese yen. But hey, let's go down to some of the lower time frames and see what's taking place. The first thing I notice is on the 1-hour chart here, we have currently lost momentum. So we had a very strong uptrend. We started to go sideways. We ended up breaking the uptrend by pushing down, and now we are kind of just going sideways, waiting to see if we're going to push up or push lower for a downtrend. So the 1-hour chart is showing indecision. Now the 4-hour chart, that is showing an uptrend. Yes, this point in time is kind of showing sideways, but the overall trend is still up. So I am actually expecting this to continue up, even though I am bearish the DXY. I am expecting this to move up until we can actually see the 4-hour trend change. So as far as the USD Japanese yen goes, I would maybe continue to look for longs on day trading timeframes, although I would definitely be trading with caution, because at any point this thing can start to act more like the DXY and we could actually start to roll over, and that's what I think is probably going to happen. So for longs, we definitely need to trade with caution on day trading timeframes only, and for shorts, we need to wait for this 4-hour uptrend to break. GBPUSD forecast weekly chart. We have the weekly demand down here. We couldn't quite push down to it, but it's always possible in the long run. That is where we push up. But if you just look for long-term profit targets here, we have supply located back here at 1.29 on the weekly chart and demand. So as far as long-term swing trading targets, those could be your targets for longs and for shorts. But obviously here, the momentum is up. We created a new high, so the weekly momentum is up. Just wanted to point that out first. Daily chart, momentum up, trend is up. We have demand zones basically being respected all the way up here. Supply zones being removed. Now we do have a daily supply zone being respected right now at 1.24, but I am certainly expecting this to rally up, break this, whether we push down first and then move up, but I am expecting this daily supply to actually push up first. So with that being said, which direction do we trade the pound? Well, I mean, momentum is up in the weekly. We have a daily trend that's up. I'm thinking we stick to longs. And if we go to a 4-hour chart here, this is the dilemma that I'm kind of having right now. We are kind of just going sideways right here. As you can see, we are just in the middle between supply and demand. So as far as longs go, which is what I think, well, first of all, for shorts, we have this supply at 1.24. We could certainly see a move off of that supply. So it could be an area where you get a quick little scalp off of from a day trade on like a 1 minute or a 5 minute or a 15-minute chart. So you could definitely set your alerts before this supply 1.248 and look for maybe a day trade short off of that 1-to-1, 2-to-1, something like that. Or for longs, which is what I would be looking for based on what we looked at in the weekly and the daily chart, if price pushes down to this 4-hour area of demand at 1.23, you could look for longs on day trading timeframes coming off of that 4-hour demand. Let's say price pushes up, breaks this supply. We never actually push down to this demand, but we actually just break through this supply. If we're left with 4-hour demand, I will have that on the chart for the members, and you could look to trade that 4-hour demand zone, as it has proven to us that, hey, we're going to break this high and the supply. So if that does take place and we're left with 4-hour demand, that's what I would be looking for on the pound US dollar. And remember, guys, if you have any questions about the forecast or about what I would do in a certain situation or anything at all, do not hesitate to leave a question in the comments. I will respond to every single one of you. All right, USDCAD forecast. Obviously a very green candle this week. What a move up in USDCAD. Looking at the weekly chart here, just wanted to show you guys long-term profit targets. For longs, long-term profit target would be 1.396 at weekly supply. And for shorts, it would be at weekly demand at 1.317. If you've been watching my forecast for a while now, I've been talking about this weekly demand. I am very, very interested in trading at that weekly area of demand for a few reasons. I'm not going to get into them fully in this video now, but one of the reasons I'm interested in that weekly area of demand is just the quality of the demand zone. In my opinion, I think it's definitely a decent little demand zone, and I also think it's a potential short trap setup or potential long trap setup with this support level right here. So I'm thinking price will push down, break below, stop everybody out here, and then move up. So that's my long-term projection here on USDCAD. I know a lot of you guys are day traders, so let's go down to some of the lower time frames. Well, first of all, let's look at the daily chart here. Just getting beautiful reactions off of my supply. I pointed out this supply in 2 forecasts ago, this daily supply here. We reacted down, pointed out this demand as well, and we reacted off the daily demand, and we're pushing back up. So now we are inside of this daily supply. We've had a very aggressive move into the supply. I am certainly expecting it to break, probably look something like this. Another green candle I am expecting in USDCAD on the daily chart. So this zone has been tested once, pretty much halfway through the zone, so I'm definitely expecting it to be removed. We're also looking at potential basing structure here on the daily chart. So if we do get another candle like this, we will actually have daily demand that will be located right here. We could actually see a move off that daily demand like that. So as far as trading it goes now, you could look for shorts coming off of this daily supply at 1.317. I think that would be okay if we actually do push up to that daily supply. And as far as anything else goes, I'm really not seeing a whole lot. We do have a 1-hour uptrend, so technically, just on a technical level, yes, you could be day trading longs on like a 1-minute chart, 5-minute chart because of the 1-hour uptrend. But since I am actually expecting this thing to probably roll over back and pull back to potential daily demand, I would definitely trade with caution. So I would actually see what happens at that daily supply first. And let's say the daily supply holds and we actually continue to break down on the 1-hour chart, then we might be able to get a short instead of waiting all the way for daily supply 1.37. So as far as USDCAD goes, we need to see what takes place at that daily area of supply before we make any trading decisions. I personally hope we maybe break the supply, push down lower, break daily demand again, and then push down to 1.317 to the weekly demand. All right, looking at the Aussie US dollar, looking at the weekly chart here, long-term targets, short targets to weekly demand at 0.64, swing trading targets for longs 0.73. That's very, very long-term targets though. So I was actually hoping Aussie pushed down a weekly demand, but it didn't. So let's go down to the lower time frames and see what's taking place. First of all, looking at the daily chart, bottom left corner, I'm not going to zoom in. It's just going sideways right now. Really not a great time to be trading. So what you want to actually be doing is looking for zones at the extreme, and that's a situation. So looking at the 1 hour chart, I really had the two zones here. I had supply and demand, and look at the move we had off of this supply zone. What a move down. I'm not sure if anybody caught a trade off that zone there, and we have demand down here on the 1 hour chart. We could definitely see a move off that demand, but as far as the Aussie goes right now, it's really not the time to be trading. I mean, yeah, you could look for shorts here, you could technically still look for longs here, but there's no trend on the daily chart, really no trend on the weekly chart. It's just sideways price action. So with that being said, what I would do is I would take the Aussie US dollar and take it off of your watch list this week, or at least try to remember that, hey, you know, this thing's going sideways. I don't want to be stopped out by price just going up and down and up and down and wicking in and out. So I would take the Aussie US dollar and focus on other pairs this week, because this is definitely not the highest odds thing to be doing. What I would wait for is wait for new 4 hour trends to begin that are clean and healthy, and then at that point we can start to trade with the 4 hour trend. All right, on to the USDCHF here, the Swiss franc. Just looking at the weekly chart here, pretty choppy looking chart. We recently removed a significant demand zone the past couple weeks here. I am expecting price to pull down to at least to this weekly demand at 0.88. So that is where I am expecting the USD Swiss to go in the long run. Looking at the daily chart here, what we have and what we are looking at is a very, very quality and clean daily downtrend. We have supply zones being respected, demand zones being removed before or after they were respected, and just a very clean downtrend. There's a supply zone on the daily chart at 0.90. We could certainly see a move off of that supply zone, but we could also see a move off that demand zone first. So let's go down to some of the lower time frames and see if we can't potentially get a trading setup here. Looking at the 4 hour chart, we had significant 4 hour supply above at 0.90. We couldn't get a move up. We couldn't quite pull back up to there. I would still potentially short that supply zone, as I think it is definitely a good price to short, especially considering this liquidity right here. So we are reacting off of this supply zone on the 4 hour chart right now, but at the end of the day, I think we could actually continue to push up to that and then roll it down. So as far as trading this USD Swiss goes right now, really not seeing a lot going on. Since we are coming off of 4 hour supply, you could be on day trading timeframes looking for shorts to trade down to 0.88 at that 4 hour demand. So as far as the USD Swiss goes, like I said, shorts off this 4 hour supply and day trading timeframes are fine. And then also you could wait for the extreme zone at 0.90 to be hit and look for shorts coming off of that 4 hour area of supply. All right, last but not least, we are on to crude oil. Looking at the weekly chart here, we did get a move off my weekly demand as I expected. I've been bullish oil this entire time. As far as targets go, well, looking at the weekly chart, we are in between. We are right in the middle between supply and demand. So with that being said, long targets would be 87.25 at the weekly supply, and then longer term targets would be 105. Short targets would be like $66 a barrel, maybe 68. Between 68 and 66, I think would be fine. So let's go down to lower time frames compared to the weekly chart and take a look at what's going on. Well, first of all, we are seeing a pretty decent move coming off of daily supply. Again, this is a supply zone I had drawn for members quite a while back. We've seen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves off the supply zone. We recently pushed deeper into the supply zone. We couldn't break past that for a while. We almost broke it, and now we're pushing back down. And where I think we are actually headed down to is this daily demand at 74.23. So I think we're going to push down to there and then see a move off of that demand. So that's what I'm waiting for on oil. And since we have, a 1 hour downtrend, you could technically be day trading short on 1 minute, 5 minute charts down to that daily demand. Now, something else to consider as well is there's this 4 hour demand zone that's located at 75.59. It kind of depends on how you draw it too. It's kind of a weird looking zone. I'm actually probably going to draw it like that, or you know what, I'm going to keep it like that. So there is 4 hour demand here. We could definitely see a hiccup at this 4 hour demand, but ultimately I think we will push lower. So I would definitely keep an eye on this 4 hour demand as well. You could look for confirmation coming off that 4 hour demand, but at the end of the day, I think we are probably headed down to 74.23 down at this daily demand, where I think is probably the best, highest odds long trading option. And then, like I said, on the weekly chart, we have targets set to $88 a barrel pretty much. So I think oil is setting up for a huge move, and we're finally getting a pullback to acquire longs. I hope you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If it did, I would really appreciate a like and a subscribe if you are new to the channel. And as always, check out the YouTube and Patreon membership if you want to get my daily chart analysis and much, much more.